Hello, hello. I have arrived. Welcome. We are going to talk about Destiny lore today, as I said. So yes. Let's see. Before we get into that, though, of course, we have to do business as per usual. So, let's see. Today, Destiny lore. Tuesday, next Tuesday, we're going to be continuing the collab series with Altariana, Sheppy Sheps, and Judo Kami. We will be continuing Borderlands 2, if it decides it wants to cooperate with us, which it has historically decided that it doesn't want to cooperate with us quite a bit. But, you know, we do well enough at getting it to agree to our demands, I suppose. But yes, so that is planned for Tuesday. Let's see. Thursday, we will be continuing Conquer the Shadow World. We will be playing through it on normal mode so that we can fight the final boss and hopefully beat it. And then next Friday, we will be continuing the Destiny lore, with the second part going into the details, or not necessarily details. I am deliberately avoiding going into too much detail because I'm aiming this at people who are maybe casually into Destiny, or perhaps rather faintly aware of Destiny, or not aware of Destiny at all. So, I suppose I can't really talk about what we're going to be doing next time on the Destiny lore without talking about what we're going to be doing this time, talking about Destiny lore. So, let me do that. So yes, today, it's the morning, I guess. This definitely feels like this sort of, well, yeah, I'll get into that. But, yes, this morning, we will be talking about sort of the backstory of Destiny. And, yeah, so sort of the events leading up to the events of, the games. And then on next Friday, I was going to say on Friday, but it is Friday. Next Friday, specifically, we will be talking about the actual events of the games. And again, we're not going to go into too much detail here or there, for the sake of people who maybe don't care all that much, or don't know all that much, and wouldn't necessarily be interested in very long-winded, detailed explanations. And to be fair, I don't know a whole lot about Destiny lore. I'm not an expert by any means, but I very much like lore in games in general. I like investigating lore, and I figured with the way that I usually play games, I like to have sort of a the way I play games on stream specifically. I guess it does, you know, it's roughly the same way that I tend to prefer to enjoy playing games on my own, but specifically how I do things on stream is a little bit more regimented. I try to maintain a sort of a certain continuity of the sort of experience of playing through the game. Like, I want to start at the beginning and I want to make it to the end as unbroken a chain of events as possible, so that we can sort of have the maximum appreciation for everything that happens, basically. So yes. So, the reason that we're doing this lore is because we're going to be jumping into Destiny 2, the Forsaken expansion, because that is going to be being removed from the game. Let's see. Oh, I just realized I got so caught up in talking about what we're going to be doing today that I forgot to talk about the times. So, obviously, we're streaming right now. If you're here, you're here, and if you're not, you're not. And I guess if you're here and if you're not here now and you're listening to this, you're watching the VOD, and so therefore the schedule doesn't matter that much, or at least the time that this stream is happening. But yes. So the Tuesday streams, typically, we're planning on starting those around 5:30 or so. You know, usual collab stuff. Things come up for people. It's kind of hard for everyone to coordinate to be ready at the exact same time. So usually, sometimes we're a little bit early to our collab. Sometimes we're a little bit late. But around 5:30 or a little bit afterwards is when we are planning on the collab on Tuesday. Thursday, I guess I should make it a distinction, because yes. Thursday, I will be playing, like I said, Conquer the Shadow World. We will be continuing that. I will be playing that at 7:30 is the plan, or we'll be starting the stream at 7:30. And then next Friday, we'll be starting at 10 a.m. again, is the plan. So yes, so I've never really done anything quite like this before, so I have absolutely no idea how long the stream is going to run for. Maybe, I get the feeling that probably scheduling 2 hours for it was maybe a bit ambitious. It might not take quite that long, but it might take longer, who knows? It depends on how we get through things. And so yes, so as I was saying, I'm casually into Destiny lore, but I'm very much into lore in general. Let's see. And I want to do this so that people sort of who haven't seen Destiny before are going to, you know, have some context for sort of what happens in Forsaken, because there's a lot that happens, or well, I don't know. I don't know all that happens in Forsaken because I haven't played it yet. And I've done a reasonably good job of avoiding spoilers. There's a big one that I'm aware of. But yeah, I might have suggested, in theory, you know, you could go and just look up this lore yourself if you're interested, or just if you're just here to listen to me play a game, then you can just enjoy me and not worry too much about the story. But yeah, there's some big things that happen in Forsaken, as I understand it, pretty close to the beginning of Forsaken, that won't make a whole lot of sense to people who don't really know what's going on, as I understand it. And I'm reluctant to go into much detail, but yeah, in short, there's some stuff that won't necessarily make a whole lot of sense to you if you aren't sort of in the know. So yes, so let's see, what else is there to say? So yeah, we're going to go over Destiny lore somewhat casually. We're not going to go into any tremendous detail, because I want this to be, you know, accessible, to be something that people who don't really know a whole lot and aren't really invested yet can understand and perhaps get a bit more invested in. But yes, and again, I'm doing this because I like to have this sort of sense of continuity of a continuous story from beginning to end for Destiny, or for, you know, all the games I play. That's not necessarily going to be super true of Destiny, because there's more of Destiny to be played after Forsaken, but I think I might have like an expansion. I think, well, there's only 2 expansions that have come out yet after Forsaken, but one of them well, one of them I know I don't have. The other one that I'm not sure that I have. Not sure whether or not I have, I should say. So yes, so we're going to be going through Forsaken mostly just because I want to finish it before it is removed from the game come February. And I do have a fair amount of time between now and then, so I don't need to rush. But I'm very glad that I don't have to rush. I could put it off, but then we'd have to potentially rush, and I don't want that. I don't like to rush through games. On stream, anyway. Except, you know, when I'm speedrunning. I should get back into that. But yes. Today, this morning, we're going to be talking about Destiny, so we're not going to worry about the rest of that for right now. So, let's see. What else do we need to say before we get started? Not much, I guess. Not much before we get into the zone, I guess. But yes, real quick, I'm going to go back to the prep screen, because we're going to have a dark stream today, or a dynamic lighting stream today. Did I ever come up with a proper term for these? Probably not. Alright, here we are. And you may be asking yourself, if we aren't playing a game, where's the lighting going to come from? Well, we are playing a game. Whoops. That was perhaps a bit loud. And not exactly what I intended, but here we go. But yes, specifically, this is a game called Pixel Fireplace. And I think I might want to adjust the dynamic lighting a little bit. Yeah, I definitely want to adjust it a little bit, because it's a little bit too yellow. I mean, it reflects the color that is on my screen pretty well, but it's a little bit too yellow, I think. And yeah, if we could turn the light down a little bit to give it a bit more of an ambiance, I think that'd be nice. Because, yeah, this ends up a little bit too yellow. I wonder if I've maybe set my colors a little bit wrong. It always feels like yellows come out a lot brighter than everything else. Also, let's see, do we have the... Oh, we don't have... Oh, wait, hold on. We might do, hold on. Because, yeah, I want to make sure that we still have the background music on. We don't indeed, there we go. So yeah, this should be... maybe not ideal, but I think this should be sufficient for our purposes. Well, you know what? No, we're going to... I should definitely have worked on this a little bit more beforehand, but it is what it is. Do I want to? Hold on. I mean, I want to. Let's see. Let's see, can I maybe make it a little bit dimmer? There we go. Yeah, I like... let's turn the blur up a little bit. There we go. We've got sort of a nice warm campfire color to us. Our little buddy's a little bit in the dark here, but looks like she's got like a weird sort of... It might just be on my screen, but it looks like she's got a little bit of a weird visual effect on her. Well, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to proceed. We're going to proceed as planned. As though we planned, perhaps even. But yes, let's see, where was I? But yes, we are also going to be making use of a drawing tool today, if you can imagine it. But yes, so I guess we'll give a little bit of background to Destiny. I'm going to work under the assumption that you do not know what Destiny is necessarily. So it is a video game. It's a series of video games. Technically, there's two of them. Turn down the campfire just a little bit. Hopefully, this should be a nice audio level. But yes, it's a series of video games, first-person shooter MMOs produced by Bungie, who you may know as the people who made Halo. But let's see. But yeah, so made by Bungie. What am I trying to say here? But yes, they are, like I said, first-person shooter MMOs. The exact term that Bungie uses is like a shared world shooter or something like that, I think. But I don't know. I think that's a term that they like to use. I don't know if they use that all that much, and definitely don't think that there's a lot of people outside of Bungie who use that term. So we're going to refer to them as MMOs for the sake of brevity and comprehension. But yes. So, Destiny 2, sci-fi, first-person shooter, MMO, takes place in the distant future, on and around Earth, in the solar system, I guess I could say. That would be a bit more precise. Yeah, it takes place in the solar system. And, yeah, in it, you play as a Guardian. You wield a power called the Light to, and, well, asterisk. You can put an asterisk there, but, we won't get into details about that because that is relevant, or not relevant to, the point of the story that we're going to, jump into. But yes, so you wield a power called the Light to fight back the darkness and the various alien forces that are on the various worlds that exist within the solar system. Oh dear, I've dropped my pen. Alright, I've got my pen back, we're fine. But yes, so, let's see. Let us begin by talking about the backstory. You know, well, I guess this is all backstory, but we will talk about specifically the sort of point where Destiny sort of becomes its own sort of thing, or diverges from sort of real life, the real life timeline, I guess. But yes, so the story of Destiny begins a long time ago, but the story of Destiny, as it relates to what we're going to be talking about today, begins, you can consider it as beginning in the 21st century. But yes, I've seen a few sort of conflicting reports a little bit about when precisely it begins. Like, I've seen some sources say the late 21st century. I've seen some sources say, like, or I've seen a source say, the most precise source that I've seen, or the most precise time frame I saw, was given as, like, 2014 is roughly when Destiny, as it relates to, yeah, the Destiny, as it relates to the parts of Destiny that we're going to talk about, begins in about 2014 or so. So we're going to assume that that's roughly true. We're going to work under that assumption. And so, we have a nice little planet here, called Earth. You may be familiar with it. I hope you're familiar with it, because I'm not going to go into Earth lore tonight. Maybe some other time. But, I'm going to assume that you're familiar with Earth. You may not be. But on Earth, there live people named humans, some creatures named humans, and one day, they notice, approaching the planet Mars, or in orbit around the planet Mars, is a big, weird, sort of space orb. And big, weird space orbs are, of course, something of an issue. Especially when they're, you know, moving in on a planet, and you don't really know what they're there for, and what they're doing. So, obviously, they've got to investigate. So, yeah, about 2014, they noticed this object, and after a little over a year, I think it was 14 or 15 months is the exact time, but those details are not super relevant. But yeah, they send a team of three astronauts, 3 spacefarers, I guess. The only one of them is technically an astronaut, but the United States and China and Russia collaborate to send a team of 3 to investigate this happening on Mars. So they create a mission, send it all the way to Mars. I should employ separate layers that we can selectively erase and draw things, now that I think about it. But we're just going to have to deal with this for the minute. So they send a mission to Mars. They send an astronaut, a taikonaut, and a cosmonaut to Mars to investigate what's up with this big space orb. What's its deal? And so they arrive on Mars, I don't have the footage handy, but I remember seeing footage from like a trailer for Destiny, where like they basically like step out of their like lander on Mars, and they've got all of their, you know, astronaut type gear, and they've also got like assault rifles on them, which is a very funny picture. It's a very funny picture. They see this big space orb around Mars and they think, okay, we've got to send people to check this out. We're going to send 3 people, but we're going to also send them with guns just in case. You know, just in case. And so they go and they arrive on Mars, and it's like stormy, which is a bit unusual because Mars doesn't have a whole lot of atmosphere. But it's stormy, and they step off, they sort of set out to meet this big space orb. And they eventually find it, and it is at the center of a storm. It is at the center of rain on Mars, which is very unusual indeed. But yes, as it turns out, this big space orb, and we'll give it a little bit of blue. Is this? No, that's still white. Pardon, I did not change the color properly. This big space orb, we'll zoom in even for more detail, is terraforming Mars, making it into a habitable planet. And so they find out, they're able to sort of communicate with it. And this space orb, as it turns out, is, you know, not something that needs to be shot with an assault rifle carried by 3 people from a space shuttle, but it is indeed a benevolent entity. The people of Earth decide to call it the Traveler, and they work together to advance the I was going to say the cause, but to advance the orb, which comes to be known as the Traveler. And I really wish that I had drawn the Traveler here on a different layer so that I could move it about as needed. But we'll just sort of deal with what we've got here. We'll go back to this layer, and we'll get rid of that. And we'll get rid of this off of this layer. But yeah, so the Traveler befriends humanity, or humanity befriends the Traveler, basically. Something to that effect. And the Traveler shares its vast knowledge and cosmic wisdom with humanity, granting them the power of the light, granting them all sorts of technology and knowledge, but most notably, like I said, the light. The power of it is what is described as paracausal, which means that it is sort of not bound by causality, which is an idea that is hard to understand, I feel like. So I'm not going to try too hard to describe it. You can sort of think of it as magic, if that helps you to conceptualize it. Basically, it can, well, again, it does a lot of things, and it bypasses the laws of the universe that normally need to take place for those things to happen. But yes, so humanity meets the Traveler, gets on good terms with the Traveler, and so yes, they begin to work together. They share, or the Traveler sort of goes around and does more terraforming actions on planets such as Mars and Venus. And I'm not as prepared as I perhaps should have been, so I'm going to have to look up some of these entries. I'm referencing the website Destinypedia for anyone who is curious. But yes, the Traveler moves on to planets such as Mars and it started on Mars. Moves on to planets such as Venus and Mercury, not Mars and Mercury. I sort of combined Venus and Mercury into the same entity there, which is not what the Traveler did. But yes, the Traveler goes and terraforms those planets. Humanity goes and you know, sets up like little settlements on those planets, sort of colonizes them. And so through these actions, yeah, humanity is sort of able to start expanding out into the not the stars quite, but the planets around the solar system. But yes, so we'll put this away real quick for just a moment. We'll get back to it soon. I've forgotten the button. I remember at one point I knew a, there we go. There we are. So yes. So during this time, humanity experiences great technological advancement, and they're able to develop all sorts of new stuff. Such as, create another layer here. Or I guess, create is perhaps a strong word for what humanity does. They sort of, you know, they copy the Traveler's notes. The Traveler shares its notes, and together they are able to work together and make some innovations. But yeah, among these include such things as engrams, which are pretty nifty. Sort of it is what is called encrypted matter in universe, which basically means that you can store matter as energy in the form of these nifty little shapes, which are essentially the in-universe justification for, you know, random drops and stuff. You know, being able to find just sort of stuff wherever in, you know, all kinds of things in places where they reasonably shouldn't probably be able to fit, or, you know, carried by people who wouldn't necessarily be able to carry them if they were, you know, physically present. So yeah, so they developed engrams. A lot of these advancements come due to the, are spearheaded by a company called Clovis Ray, and we'll get into them in a little bit here. But yeah, so engrams, glimmer. Glimmer is invented. It is whereas engrams are encrypted matter, glimmer is a type of programmable matter, basically, which means that you can, you know, give it commands and it'll just sort of turn into stuff, which is very neat. It's not pink, generally speaking, so I probably should have used a different color. It's blue, generally, but it's sort of it's a light blue in the games, but it is what it is. Engrams. Glimmer. And glimmer is sort of the currency used in the games. But yes, so in addition to these things, the Clovis Ray Corporation, I don't know if they had anything to do with glimmer, but I know they had to do with engrams, and they had to do with the things that I'm about to mention. But yes, the Clovis Ray Corporation, a group, they sort of have a base on Mars, and they like making things. They like making things and inventing stuff. And among what they, oh dear, among the things that they, among the things that they are fond of are artificial intelligence. And so this leads to the creation of a few things, but most notably, it leads to the creation of Exos. It leads to the creation of Exos, which are, let's see if I can, we're going to do a bit of a stylized drawing here. But yes, leads to the creation of Exos. Get a better eraser tool here. And so the exact origins of Exos are throughout a lot of Destiny, kind of not well known, basically. It is known that they were created by the Clovis Ray Corporation. It is known that they are created by the Clovis Ray Corporation, but by and large, it isn't really known very well how they were created. They do go into more detail about how the origins of Exos in later on. Let's see, I think when would, well, it's outside the, it is not within the bounds of what is important for this presentation, so we're not going to worry too much about it. So yeah, so this little guy here is an Exo. Little robot guy. Little robot guy is perhaps a bit reductive. They are, you know, human-sized and human intelligence. They are people, essentially. They got glowing eyes. They got glowing mouths, too. Like me. Although I guess mine is a mask. They actually have lights in their eyes and mouths. But yes, so Exos, and they also create... Wrong tool. The Warmind. Who is, again, a lot of things in Destiny are represented with this this similar sort of shape. But the Warmind, Rasputin. I guess I should say more so a lot of things related to Clovis Ray incorporate this sort of shape. Yes, Rasputin. And so Rasputin is Russia's greatest war machine. No, I don't think Clovis Ray had anything to do with Russia necessarily, but they named their Warmind after Rasputin, Russia's greatest love machine. But yes, and so the idea of Rasputin, we'll put everything else to the side here. The idea of Rasputin was, humanity is entering into this golden age of knowledge and advancement due to the influence of the Traveler. During this time, the average human lifespan has effectively tripled. Humans live 3 times as long now. Oops. Humans live 3 times as long now. They've cured all sorts of diseases. There's basically no more sort of major conflicts on Earth because we've all sort of been enlightened by the Traveler and its light and all of its great knowledge and everything. So we're in a golden age, a much more enlightened time where all of this all of this knowledge, all of this advancement, all of this peace is upon us. But the thing is, even with peace, there's still a lot of unknowns, Anything could be anywhere out in the stars, in the solar system, even. Yeah, anything could be anywhere. This isn't super apparent. Let me adjust the density a little bit. Still kind of hard to see these question marks. I guess I'll just have to use this tool. Anything could be anywhere. A threat could come from anywhere at any time. And so we've got to do something about that. We've got to have something that is ready for us to respond to threats from outside or perhaps even from within. So, like I said, they create Rasputin. He sort of has a network that he is a part of, but his biggest, his core, basically, is on Mars. Label him with a big R here. Rasputin is on Mars and everywhere else, basically. Whoops. On Mars and everywhere else. And so Rasputin essentially has all of, in theory, nigh unlimited access to the weapon systems of Earth, pointed outwards in theory to be able to defend against any threat. And yeah, Rasputin is super intelligent, nigh incomprehensibly intelligent by human standards, basically. They have given this AI, the idea of it is that it has an AI that is so advanced that it is able to predict and calculate threats before they even set foot in the solar system, before anyone else could even possibly be aware of them. Rasputin should be aware of them and should be already, making countermeasures and doing that. And you may be seeing this and thinking, this seems a bit sketchy. This idea of a weapon system that is networked into basically all of the weapons that exist on humanity, with nigh unlimited power to act in the face of a potential crisis. This seems a little bit sus, as they say. But don't worry about it, it's fine. It's fine. But yes, so humanity goes on to explore more of the solar system. They explore, explore, settle on other planets in the solar system, such as, like I said, Venus and Mercury. We'll call this Venus. And what's Venus and Mercury? The images that I'm seeing on the wiki have very similar color schemes, so we're just gonna make Mercury a bit more orange. And the relative sizes, I'm sure, are completely off, and the position has absolutely nothing to do with anything. But it's fine. But yes, so like Venus and Mercury are both made habitable by the Traveler. I believe, yeah, like specifically, like Mercury is made into like a garden world. I believe it is referred to as. Let me see if it's, yes, yeah, Mercury was. I wasn't sure if it was Mercury or Venus, but one of them. Yeah, exploration into research and such on these various planets is, or at least on one of them. Well, yeah, on Venus, there's a group called the Ishtar Collective who discovers and investigates ruins of like this incredibly ancient, like billions of years predating humanity civilization, incredibly ancient, incredibly advanced. They discover these ruins here, and everyone's all like, but it's not a huge deal for the time being and for the purposes of this discussion. But yes, so humanity's in this golden age. It has learned so much. It is doing so much. It has built so much, and including again Rasputin. But everything doesn't last perfectly fine forever, because it is the golden age, and not just now. It is not yeah. When you call things a golden age, generally that means that they ended at some point, and indeed they did, sadly. So one day, Rasputin is doing his space thing. He's out on Mars and everywhere, because he's everywhere in the solar system, basically, ready at any point to shoot down anything that seems like it might be an issue. And so he's out in space doing his thing, just chilling, as war minds are wont to do. And so he detects something. He detects something really big and really bad coming in at alarming speed. And this, and I regret a little bit using such a dark color to draw in the background here, but this that comes in next is something. In fact, we'll make this a little bit, not that transparent. We'll make the background a little bit transparent so it's that easier to see. What comes in next is the darkness. For indeed, when light comes, darkness is sure to follow. Represent the darkness with this little shape here. Oh dear. Let's try that again. But yes, so the darkness. The darkness hasn't arrived yet, but Rasputin has noticed it and is starting to get worried, because that is his job, to be worried. And so he sees the darkness and thinks, well, this is unfortunate. And so he begins to make plans and make countermeasures, and things start to get a little bit worrisome, because the darkness approaches, comes in force, and starts to wreak havoc, basically. Moves in on the solar system and on Earth. And this is not good. The darkness is not so good. The darkness is not friendly like the Traveler was. It does not want to share its great wisdom and technology with humanity. Instead, it wants to share death with humanity. It wants to share munitions, we will say. And so the darkness arrives and moves in, and humanity does their best to fight it, but there's not really much that they can do about it. Rasputin even is not really super able to do much about it. Rasputin gets the idea Free bullets, not optional. Indeed, indeed. But yeah, the invasion of the darkness is a little bit more metaphysical than just bullets, because the darkness is also paracausal, though it also has powers that are beyond reality, beyond comprehension, even. Yes, also, by the way, thank you for dropping in, Clockwork Moose. Good to have you here today. But yes, so the darkness closes in, and Rasputin gets the idea, you know, sort of notices the Traveler is a little bit sees the Traveler and thinks, okay, so the Traveler is humanity's best hope of survival. Humanity's only hope of survival, perhaps even. And so Rasputin gets the idea of, okay, so we've got the darkness, it's real bad, I can't fight it on my own. We've got the Traveler, I don't really know what's up with the Traveler. The Traveler might try to leave, and we don't want that, because if the Traveler leaves, we're dead. We're definitely dead. Or humanity is definitely dead, at least. So, Rasputin gets the idea of, okay, if the Traveler tries to leave, I'm gonna shoot it. So, Rasputin creates a plan called the Abhorrent Imperative, that it refers to as the Abhorrent Imperative, and gets ready to shoot the Traveler if it decides to leave Earth. And so the darkness and the Traveler then get into a battle, the exact details of which are somewhat debated in lore and not within the scope of this stream. But all you need to know is that the darkness moves in on Earth, causes all sorts of devastation, but the Traveler, whether it be simply because it decided to stay and fight, or because Rasputin put a gun to its head and forced it to stay and fight, basically, for one reason or another, the Traveler decides to stay and to oppose the darkness. And it does its level best. And indeed, it wins, essentially. The darkness is driven back. The darkness is driven back, but at a terrible cost. For though while the darkness is gone for now, the Traveler, it seems, was wounded in the battle, perhaps fatally. It falls silent, it takes position, or it changes position. Oh dear. And sort of, nope, not that. Gotta turn down the tolerance settings a little bit. I might just have to... Yeah, I should have drawn the planets on a separate layer. But the Traveler... Oh, did I? Oh, I did. No wonder I couldn't select it. There we go. But yeah, so the Traveler comes to rest over a spot on Earth. I don't know if we know exactly where it is on Earth, but it's somewhere on Earth. It's here, we'll say, for the purposes of this diagram. So yeah, it settles into a position over Earth, and it goes silent, goes dormant. And in these last moments, it does something very important, in that it creates ghosts, as one usually does when one seemingly dies. But but yes, it creates little tiny little machines known as ghosts, little drones that are each imbued with the power of the light, and it sends those ghosts out with a mission. That mission being to seek out sort of worthy, noble souls among those who were slain. You know, not necessarily just in the conflict with the darkness, but just in general. Yeah, it goes to find people. The ghosts go to find people all throughout the world. And so yes, let me draw a little diagram of a ghost. Let me pull up an image of a ghost so I have a better reference. Yes, draw a little picture of a ghost. Yeah, so they also have a similar sort of again, the shape especially is prevalent in we'll draw this a little bit differently. Is especially prevalent in Clovis Ray designs, but it's prevalent throughout Destiny in general as well. But yes, so the Traveler creates ghosts, little robots who look roughly thusly. I hope you're enjoying the fireplace ambiance, by the way. Hope that isn't too loud. It's a pretty decent volume level on my end, but of course, let me know if it's a bit too loud or too quiet, perhaps. But yes, so the Traveler creates ghosts who go out and search through the solar system for their partners to raise them up. Alright, Clip Studio Paint froze there for a second, which was a bit concerning, but it's fine. But yeah, so it creates ghosts, these tiny little drones, to go out and search for their partners. And so they do. A lot of them, in particular, get raised up on Earth. These people, you know, since they have come back from the dead, are come to be known as the Risen. And so once they have been revived by their ghost, they have the power to wield the light, like as weapons and as armor, basically. They're able to use the power of the Traveler's light to improve their might, their power, to stand against foes of all sorts. And of course, you know, these people who have been risen, for one thing, they don't have any memories of their past lives, and for another thing, they don't, you know, they aren't under the control of the Traveler or anything. They aren't under the control of any force. They are, you know, alive. They have these ghosts that revived them and can continue to revive them. The Risen, once they are risen, you know, the ghosts can revive them essentially indefinitely. So anytime they die, they can just come back up. And so they are tireless warriors. They are able to perform feats of strength and ability that no other person can. And they're immortal. So these people, they are risen up, and they are on Earth and beyond, but we're focusing on the ones that are on Earth because they're the most relevant at this particular point in time. But they are alive and they're doing this thing, and a lot of them decide, you know what? I've got like superpowers now. I'm immortal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna live it up, basically. I'm gonna live it up, and everyone's just gonna have to deal with this fact. Everyone's just gonna have to deal with the fact that I'm here, and they're gonna have to do what I say, or else, you know, I'm immortal, but they're not. So if they've got an issue with me doing whatever I want, then that's a them problem. That's a them problem, and I'm not going to be party with that. But yes, so a lot of Risen become what are known as Warlords. They establish kingdoms on Earth to reign over, and you know that's not great. Earth's already in kind of a sorry shape, but the Warlords, you know, they provide protection, but a lot of what they're protecting people from is, you know, themselves. You know, you do this for me, and I won't stomp you flat with my my immortality and my immense strength and power and all that. And so they establish kingdoms and whatnot. They are and it's all, you know, it's better, more or less, in some senses, because there are these people who could, in theory, fight off against whatever evils may descend on Earth. But they're also responsible for a lot of evils on Earth themselves, and nobody's really super happy about that. And so is established a group of Risen who decide, you know what, this sucks. We hate Warlords, and we're not going to let them just sort of do whatever. We're going to protect the people of Earth properly, not just, you know, run a protection racket, basically. We're going to actually defend Earth. And so they do. But yeah, these people call themselves the Iron Lords. They step in to defend humanity from humanity, basically. And I say humanity because, yeah, I say humanity, but it also includes Exos. Exos are also raised up as ghosts. Oops. Here we are. Draw a symbol of the Iron Lords here. This double-headed axe symbol. Yeah, it also includes some gauntlets grabbing onto it in the image that I'm seeing. But I'm not great at drawing hands. Well, we'll do it anyway. Because the only way to get better is to do it. And perhaps now is not the best time to be practicing, but we're going to anyway. Yeah, gauntleted hand, or two gauntleted hands, grasping onto a double-headed axe is the symbol of the Iron Lords. And so yeah, so the Iron Lords decide, the Warlords suck, we don't like them, we want to protect humanity and, like, actually give them, not just, you know, do so for the sake of elevating our own status and power. We're going to genuinely protect them. We're going to do everything we can to unite the people of Earth after this terrible tragedy, the collapse of the Golden Age. We're going to properly defend them. And so they do. They strike out against the Iron Lords, and they gather followers, and other Risen join them. But yeah, a little bit of a rough sketch of the Iron Lord symbol. But it'll do. Yes, the Iron Lords, or the Warlords rather, not being united in any way, don't have a specific symbol attached to them. But yes, a lot of folks join the Iron Lords. There's a very long list of Iron Lords. It's again beyond the scope of this particular stream to go into the details of, I feel like. But the Iron Lords unite humanity, or they work to unite humanity. Provide them with protection, and eventually with a place to stay, rather than being scattered all over the world, you know, just barely surviving in a lot of places. They start to work together to form a unified sort of settlement, a place for everyone to live and be safe. And this is established underneath the shadow of the Traveler, which was, again, so terribly damaged and everything in the battle with the darkness. But underneath the shadow of the Traveler, a settlement begins to form. A settlement begins to form, because the Traveler, even now, for, like, you know, it is a symbol of sort of hope, of protection, and it provides a certain amount of protection. There's, as I understand it, like a protective aura that the Traveler exudes. Not a perfect protection by any means, but you know, sometimes even just the idea of safety can be enough. It's better than no hope at all. But yes, so the people build homes underneath the Traveler, sort of a big refugee camp more than anything. The Iron Lords, having defeated the various Warlords, gather people from across the world to set up, you know, set up this camp, set up defenses and everything, because Earth is not alone. People of Earth are not alone since the approach of the darkness. Things are not, you know, they are not fantastic, because the system, in addition to humans and Exos, even though the darkness has left, there is still much danger to be had, specifically in the form And this design's a little bit too big, so we'll have to shrink it down a little bit. There we are. Missed a little bit there, but it's fine. But yes, so the system has been sort of invaded. Invaded may be the wrong word in some cases. In some cases, it's very much the right word. But it is now inhabited by far more than just humans and Exos and all the things that humanity has built. And understand when I use humanity, I use it to refer to, like, you know, humans and sort of the entities that are aligned with them. So in this case, including Exos and ghosts and all that. Yes. So the humanity as a concept, as an allegiance, as a force, more so than humanity as humans, specifically the human beings. But yes. So the solar system, as it turns out, has had some folks in it who are not so nice, and some folks who are not so nice move in as well. Because as it turns out, those very ancient ruins discovered on Venus belong to a species which I use in species is perhaps a bit generous of a term. I'm not exactly sure what term would be most ideal, but those ruins were built by, and it turns out perhaps even inhabited by, the Vex, a race of timeless, remorseless machines who are bent on, you know, doing whatever they feel like, much like the Warlords, but in a very different way. Yes, the Vex, again, ancient machines with unusual abilities, powers, and just incredibly, amazingly advanced technology. The Vex were, in fact, discovered pre-Golden Age, but widespread knowledge of them never, or rather, there was never any widespread knowledge of them, because, you know, the people who discovered the Vex didn't really feel that this was the sort of thing that people should know about. To some, it was a matter of, you know, if people find out that there's, like, these sort of weird, incredibly advanced machines just sort of living in, you know, in our space, or sort of dormant at that point. But these incredibly advanced, incredibly dangerous machines living in our space, they'll probably not be super thrilled about that. And so some of them sort of suppress this knowledge for that fact. You know, to a certain extent, the collapse is responsible for a lot of the loss of that knowledge in addition to a lot more knowledge is lost in the collapse than just what little knowledge we possess of the Vex. But the Vex, label that. But yes, so all sorts of knowledge is lost. And, but yes, the Vex sort of start moving out in force. They turn Venus into a machine world, and they set foot on a number of other worlds and start doing all sorts of other various things, working on their unknowable... Oh dear. This is a thing that happens a lot. This is a thing that happens a lot with my pen tablet. If I click on things in the wrong way, sometimes it gets a little bit funky. And yeah, specifically if I like click off of this onto like something that's on my other monitor, and then I click directly onto the drawing area, then things get a little bit weird sometimes. And I'm glad that this problem resolved itself so quickly, because usually it requires me to restart my tablet driver. Yes, let's see. we've got a fair amount more to go, so I'll try to speed things up a little bit here. But yeah, so the Vex show up. They don't really trouble humanity on Earth, but they are, you know, a presence that is somewhat troublesome just in general. Yeah, so the Vex show up, do their Vex thing, their unknowable Vex thing, their vexing Vex thing. That is where the name comes from, because they are so confusing and unknowable. But yes, so the Vex show up, the Fallen show up, a species of four-armed aliens from a very distant world. They come seeking to scavenge and plunder. They're very fond of piracy. They watch a lot of swashbuckling movies. But yes, they have four arms, and I'm going to do my best to draw a Fallen here. They're, you know, roughly humanoid in shape, which makes them fairly complex. I guess we can just draw a head of one of them, like we did with the Fallen. Yeah, so I'm working on drawing a Vex Captain's head. Yeah, so the Vex show up, they start plundering and pirating and doing all sorts of nasty stuff. They get into a lot of conflicts with humans. Let's see, how many eyes do Vex have again? I think it's 4. We're not Vex, sorry. Vex have 1 eye generally, but they're machines, so they can have as many eyes as they want or as few eyes as they want. But the Fallen, rather, have 4, I think. This is something that I might have to fact check later on. But yeah, 4? Okay, cool. I'm glad that I was right on that. It seemed right, but yeah, I definitely could have done a little bit more preparation. And maybe, given the fact that I didn't really need to rush this as much as I perhaps was doing, probably could have spent a little bit more time preparing. But it is what it is. And then, like I said, we'll draw a little body for this guy. This guy's ending up very cute. This is a chibi little Fallen. But yeah, they've got four arms. Four arms. Four-armed spacefaring pirate guys who really make a habit of troubling humanity in particular, but just about anyone who has anything that they feel like they could probably use. They do not shy away from any conflict in general. There we are. Yeah, and they've got all sorts of some neat weapons. They got cool swords. They got cool guns. Fallen weapons are pretty neat looking. But for the sake of time, we won't go into too much detail. We've given him just one little knife here. Man, this Fallen ended up a lot cuter than I was expecting it to. But yes, so they are engineers and scavengers, and they arrive on Earth to plunder, and I guess yeah, they are particularly notable among the sort of aliens that show up during this time, in that they also have an interest in Earth. It would seem they have an interest in Earth in particular, in addition to just the idea of scavenging technology and or scavenging and stealing whatever they can. Is the fire burning down a little bit? Let me put on another log. How many logs can I put on? I've never used this pixel fireplace before. Okay, we can only have like 2 logs at a time. But yes, it was definitely getting a little bit lower. It's brighter now. But yeah, so the Fallen show up. They start stealing stuff. They start making a big ruckus. They trouble humanity a lot, and they're just kind of a bit of a nuisance. But in addition to the Fallen and the Vex, there's another group that shows up, a group known as the Cabal. They arrive. Again, they have a little bit more limited scope than the Fallen, but the Cabal show up. It's hard for me to. Let's see. I need a better picture of a Cabal. A better picture of a Cabal to draw from here. Draw a rhino. I mean, that's not. That isn't inaccurate. They're often described as being like space rhinos, but they don't have the horns. They don't have the horns, at least not visible. Whoops. But yeah, so the Cabal show up. They in particular stake a claim on Mars. They start doing research into the ruins there, because there's also some Vex stuff on Mars, and they get into a lot of fights with the Vex. They've got these little rebreathers. And so yes, the Cabal are a detachment of a vast interstellar empire. They are organized into legions. They are extraordinarily disciplined and all sorts of trouble. All sorts of trouble. They're very dangerous, and they will prove to be very dangerous in the future. Especially so. But for the time being, they're mostly interested in Mars and what's on it. And yeah, the Cabal also, for what it's worth, are very big. They're big boys. Like a lot of Fallen are roughly human sized. Some are a little bit smaller, some are a little bit bigger, some are a lot bigger, because Fallen can grow really big. But the Cabal are like huge. They're like huge, beefy space boys. Let's make a little bit more room for the big guy here. But yeah, Cabal like start out at like the smallest Cabal is like 9-ish feet or something like that, and they only get bigger from there, because or higher rank Cabal are generally bigger, and they do get pretty big, like tens of feet tall. They have units called like Colossi and stuff. But yeah, they're big tough space boys with their big strong arms. Honestly, this arm's a little bit noodly looking for a Cabal, but it is what it is. They've got their big strong arms. They got their big powerful guns, and they again are a big deal. They're mostly interested in Mars, but you know, they're not to be taken lightly. And you'll give him a big gun, because they've got big guns too. Gotta keep that sketchy look up. Put a little bit of dark color on the helmet as well. Man, I drew the Vex almost like, not quite realistically, I would say, but the Vex that I drew looks a lot like a normal Vex. But the Cabal and the Fallen that I've drawn have both turned out just very cute. Much cuter than they are usually. Well, not much cuter, but cuter. Yes, the Cabal. And so yes, the Cabal also have some smaller units to them. A different species that they conquered at one point, but serve a lot of vital roles in their empire, called the Scions. But for the time being, that is again something that is a bit beyond the scope of this stream. So we'll focus on just the main members of the Cabal the big boys. But yes, so these folks are all aliens. They're all nasty. And they're all really rude. They're all really rude. They just barged into all of humanity's old sort of structures on their planets. And just sort of made themselves at home, uninvited. Very rude. But yeah, but in particular, the Fallen are the ones who make themselves a problem for humanity on Earth. Because again, the Cabal are pretty much interested in Mars. The Vex are interested in Mars and Venus, and I think Mercury too. But the Vex have a wider reach than the Cabal do. But the Fallen are everywhere. The Fallen arrive in huge numbers because the Fallen that arrive are basically like all of the Fallen. You know, the Cabal send some legions from their empire. The Vex that show up are, you know, Vex that were around from a while ago. And there's more Vex out there. But the Fallen, there's a lot of Fallen. There's a lot of Fallen. And there's reasons for all of these things that we'll get into later. But yes. So, you got all these nasty, rude aliens on Earth, around Earth, just making a big mess of all that humanity built in the past. Humanity, you know, starting to become united under a singular, under this singular force essentially because there's just so few humans that the vast majority of them can all fit in this refugee camp, essentially, this very large refugee camp that is eventually built up into a city. A city that comes to be known as the Last City. Sometimes the last safe city, but the last city or the city. Because it is the city. It is the inhabited city. So yes. So, you know, the tiny sort of just sort of functional structures, the camps, tents and all that are replaced by skyscrapers, all manner of structures. The tower, let's see, can I get a good picture of the tower to draw from? I don't know, I mean, we've definitely got wider shots of the tower, I guess. This is an okay shot of the tower. Actually, come to think of it, I'm not 100% sure when the tower was built exactly. But the tower is pretty iconic, so we'll include a representation of it in this little stylized drawing of the city, the last city. Yeah, the tower is very important. It becomes very important. It's a major location in Destiny. Sort of the hub. But yes, so the last city is founded. All these folks are just sort of making a ruckus, and it's all kind of an issue. And in fact, the Fallen make themselves a real big issue during a conflict known as the Battle of Six Fronts. But yeah, so the Battle of Six Fronts, you know, you've got the city. Hold on a second. My dog wants in, or she wants some attention. I'll be right back real quick. Alright, we're back. Whoops. Oops, there we go. Now we're back properly. But yeah, so the Fallen, again, make themselves a nuisance, but in particular, they launch, or I guess I should say, the Fallen are not a super unified force. They're not as unified as the Cabal and the Vex are, at least. But yes, the Fallen are organized into various houses. And again, the different houses of the Fallen are a little bit beyond the scope of this video, or the scope of this stream, rather. But, yes, there is an attack on the city, the last city, that is launched by, let's see if I can get a good image to represent them. But yes, it is launched by a Fallen house, because the Fallen are divided into various houses, into organizations. But yes, let's see, for the sake of, what should we use to represent the city? I guess we'll draw, again, the tower. I don't know, again, if the tower existed at this point. I don't think it did. Because I think this tower is part of the wall, which doesn't exist yet. But, you know what? No. For the sake of this, we're going to represent the city with a stylized depiction of it, underneath the Traveler and all that. But yes. The city versus the Fallen House of Devils. Yeah, and there's all sorts of Fallen houses. I could go into a lot of detail about them, but again, sort of beyond the scope of this stream. Yes, the Fallen House of Devils launches an attack against the city. And this battle becomes known as the Battle of Six Fronts, because they, you know, approach from 6 sides. Pretty simple to understand there, I imagine. Yeah, the Battle of Six Fronts. And the Battle of Six Fronts is, you know, the Fallen are fought against by 4 groups of Titan. 4 groups of, well, we'll get into that, what a Titan is exactly. But 4 orders of Risen. 4 orders of, as they sort of became known, Light Bearers. Warriors who fought with the Traveler's Light after having been risen, being raised by a ghost. You know, folks that perhaps once were warlords, but are now united to protect humanity's collective interests. But yes, so the Battle of Six Fronts is fought by the House of Devils and by 4 Titan orders. And it doesn't... I'm on the page for this battle, but it doesn't show me exactly what the 4 orders are, sadly. But 2 large orders and 2 smaller orders fight off the Fallen House of Devils in the Battle of Six Fronts. And indeed, they win. They win pretty decisively. They win pretty decisively against the Fallen. There are, you know, not without, you know, consequences and all that, but this is a sort of the first major victory of the city as a unified force. And this symbol that represents the Battle of Six Fronts comes to be emblematic of Titans in general. And so, what are Titans, you may be asking yourself? Well, the Light Bearers, those who wield the Traveler's Light, are, you know, organize themselves into groups. Let's see, I'm trying to think when exactly this would have been that they were organized, but we'll talk about it now, just because I've already brought up the topic, and the various types is perhaps not the right word, but the various classes, as they say, of Lightbringers, that would come to be known as Guardians. there are three classes. There are the Titans, who again, like I said, are represented with this image, this pictorial sort of abstract depiction of the Battle of Six Fronts. But yes, there are the Titans, there are the Hunters. Let me get a... There we go. We'll draw the Hunter symbol. Yeah, so they weren't officially sort of classified thusly at this point, I don't believe. It wasn't until sort of let's see, when would it have been? Let's see. Well, I will finish this up first, and then we'll go back into that. Again, probably could have prepared a little bit better, but it's alright. Yes, the Hunters. This is not a great depiction of them. All of these symbols are supposed to meet in the middle, so we'll make them meet in the middle. There we are. Oops. Don't want quite that much. There we are. But yes, the Titans, the Hunters, and the Warlocks. The three Guardian classes. And the Warlock symbol. The Warlock symbol is a lot more complicated. So, let me see if I can get a pretty good picture of it. And, so that I have a better image to draw from. Literally draw from. There we are. Yes, and then the Warlocks. And so yeah, I know that the Titan symbol, is based on the symbology representing the Battle of Six Fronts. I don't know if there's specific, a specific symbology meaning to the other Guardian orders classes. And this is a pretty mediocre drawing of the Warlock symbol. It's a little bit too wide. They're all a bit out of whack, but we'll live with this. But yes, so Titans, Hunters, and Warlocks. Yes, these are the three Guardian classes. And the Guardians, just as a reminder, are the Light Bearers, the Risen, those who were chosen by the Traveler to and empowered by the Ghosts to defend humanity. And so yeah, so now, since they're very important, the player character is one of these Guardians. We will talk a bit more about them. We'll talk a bit more about what exactly a Titan, a Warlock, and a Hunter is. Let me get another layer here. We're actually going a little bit longer than I expected. We're not, yeah, so maybe, well, I don't know, I was thinking next time would be a little bit shorter. But I guess we can cut out a little bit. Because we are about to establish probably the most sort of important part of to understand. I think, yeah, I'm sort of rewriting this on the fly. But oops, wrong tool. But yes, so the Warlocks, Hunters, and Titans are the three Guardian classes. And Titans are notable for being big and strong, basically. Titans are strong, big, tough, I guess in perhaps more poetic terms, unyielding. But yes, the Hunters are quick and nimble when they need to be. They are resourceful. Clever. Sneaky. And the Warlocks are knowledgeable. Oops. I feel like this isn't how you spell knowledgeable, but we're going to roll with it. Yeah, knowledgeable. Let's see. What's another word? I sort of wrote myself into a corner writing these 4 adjectives for all these classes. But curious. Okay, I've run out of adjectives. My apologies. Sorry, Warlocks. I dunk on Warlocks a lot as a joke. Investigator, researcher. Yeah. Innovative, I guess? Yeah, innovative. Scholarly. Scholarly is a good word to describe Warlocks. There we go. But yes, so these are sort of the general sort of attitudes, the ideas that you have about the various classes of Guardian. I should make these all smaller at the same time so they're roughly equally small. They'll probably sort of end up moving towards each other, but it's fine. Yeah, big is probably not the most clever way to describe Titans, but it is what it is. More of a qualitative judgment than a quantitative one. Whoops. There we are. But yes. So, there are the 3 Guardian classes that roughly correspond to sort of the dynamic of sort of a fighter, a thief or rogue, and a mage that you may be familiar with from sort of RPG tradition. The Titans are sort of a class of Guardian that is dedicated to protecting the city, well, they're all about protecting the city, but the Titans in general are when you think of the people who defend the city, the Titans are the ones that come to mind. The Titans are primarily responsible for the ones who were primarily responsible, again, for the defense of the city during the Battle of Six Fronts, from which they derive their iconography. A lot of sort of notable early Guardians were Titans. Yeah, the Titans, again, are just the Guardian class that is most dedicated to the mission of protect the city above everything else. The Hunters like to be explorers. They like to discover and rediscover things that were lost, that are out in the solar system, and all that. The Warlocks are researchers. Notably, they like to do research into the enemies of humanity and into the power of the light itself. They are the class that has sort of the best, I would say, command over light. They use it they all use light for their various powers, but the Warlocks sort of have the best understanding of light, and you utilize it the most. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way to word this, because usually, other classes, when they wield the light for their powers, sort of are limited more so to tend to have abilities that sort of replicate things that are already fairly, well known. Like Titans create shields with their light. They create armor. They create hammers and empower their fists and things like that. Sort of striking weapons like that. Hunters create create knives and guns and bows and staves out of light. So sort of more precise weapons. But Warlocks, sometimes some Warlocks create swords out of light. But Warlocks, more so than creating weapons out of light, they use the light as a weapon. And I suppose now we'll talk about, since we've talked about the Guardians, we'll talk about the manifestations of light, particularly as it pertains to Guardians. Because Guardians wield the light, and the light empowers the Guardians. The two are, sort of inextricably connected. And I don't really have a lot of space for light here, but there's arc light, solar light, and void light. Three sort of expressions of light representing and sort of derived from different fundamental forces. You can think of arc as lightning, electricity, that sort of thing. Yeah, we'll draw a little symbol. I think they already have symbols for the different elemental light types. But we'll draw our own symbols here. And void. But yeah, so void, you shouldn't get it confused with darkness. A lot of people do sometimes. Even in universe, people get it confused with darkness. Let's see. But yeah, the void is sort of described as being sort of related to gravity and sort of fundamental forces like that. That sort of and sort of the power of the space between fundamental particles and stuff. Void is a lot of things. It's hard to describe, but it's not the darkness. The darkness is what it is, as they say. But the void is just a type of light. And so these particular elements are not, associated with a particular Guardian class. All the Guardian classes can use all three types of light and creating subclasses. And so the subclasses are, again, a little bit beyond the scope of this video. They're a bit different from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. So when we talk about them, it'll probably just be when I'm playing Destiny 2 and in the context of how it is in Destiny 2. But yes, they wield these three different types of light. Like Titans wield arc as striker Titans. They are the Titans who like to run around and punch things and do big slammy attacks. When they use solar, they are Sunbreakers. When they use void, they are Sentinels. When hunters use arc, they are well, again, in the context of I guess I'm talking about Destiny 2 because I never played Destiny 1 and I don't remember the subclasses from Destiny 1 all that well. But hunters use arc as arc striders. They use solar as gunslingers. and they use Void as Night Stalkers. And then Warlocks use Arc as Stormcallers? No. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Stormcallers. My bad. Stormcallers. They use Solar as oh, I can't remember that class. I'm sorry for constantly sort of dunking on Warlocks here. Well, I guess I'm not dunking on Warlocks, but I'm not as familiar with Warlock. It's the class that I played the least. So I'm not as familiar with it. Dawnblade, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, can't help you with this one. I've never played, I just read the lore. That's fair, that's fair. But yes, so Dawnblade. I was thinking of the class from Destiny 1, but even then I couldn't remember what it was called. I was caught between the Destiny 1 and the Destiny 2 arcs or solar subclass. Because yeah, I should say, well, no, we won't worry about that right now. Because again, we are a little bit short of time. I haven't gone over all that I want to go over just yet. But yes, so there are there's 3 types of light, there are 3 types of guardians, and there are also 3 sort of expressions of humanity, I guess. 3 types of people. Because there are, in addition to humans, in addition to Exos, there are also the Awoken. And I don't know, I can't think of a good way to depict the Awoken in an image. So instead, we're going to go back to the map of sort of the system, the solar system. And Mars isn't super relevant to this part, so we're going to get rid of it. There we are. Earth isn't necessarily either, but we're going to leave it where it is, because it is important in general. But yes, so the Awoken, they dwell off in a part of space known as the Reef. The Reef is built from sort of wrecks of spaceships who tried to flee during the collapse, flee from the darkness. And so it's just a lot of sort of shrapnel, wrecked ships. And there's a lot to go into on the Awoken. There's a lot to go into on the Exos too. But again, those are beyond the scope of what we're doing here. But for the time being, what you need to know is that there is a place in space called the Reef. The Reef. And it is inhabited by the Awoken. The Awoken are also sort of descendants of people who and then I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. I guess there's the Awoken are a people who are descended from people who sort of fled from Earth, or who were away from Earth in a ship during the collapse, and sort of the darkness has sort of influenced them in some way and transformed them into, well, not exactly that, but again, we'll get into more detail as time goes on. The Forsaken is actually tied into the lore of the Awoken, so I guess, yeah, I shouldn't hint at it too heavily, because we will actually be exploring that once we get into the game. Possibly next Friday, possibly the Friday afterwards. Actually, maybe can't guarantee that it'd be the Friday afterwards, because I don't know what my plans for Thanksgiving are yet. But yeah, so the Reef is home to the Awoken. They possess sort of they aren't super powerful to a T, but they are a different again another type of they are descendants of humanity, sort of people who have been influenced by the light and the darkness in a strange way due to the unknowable cosmic forces that were unleashed during the conflict between the light and the darkness. and that created the Awoken. So yes, there are three, people groups that you can play as: the humans, Exos, and Awoken. There are three Guardian classes: Hunter, Titan, and Warlock. And there are three I keep wanting to say solar. There are three light. There are three types of light: Arc, Solar, and Void. So yeah, you can see that 3 is sort of a recurring number in this. But yeah, so let's see. So that's the Awoken. But yeah, so for the time being, all you need to know is that the Awoken the Awoken sort of have a base in the Reef. They are led by their queen, Mara Sov, and they have a complicated relationship with Earth. There are some Awoken who do help out Earth and live on Earth, and there are Awoken Guardians and all that. The Awoken the Awoken are sort of in sort of this universe are sort of divided into two sort of main factions. There are the Earthborn Awoken, who are sort of, again, allied with Earth. And then there are the Reefborn Awoken, I believe, or Reef Awoken, or something like that, who dwell in the Reef and try not to get involved with Earth's business too much. But yes, let's see. Yeah, so the Awoken, there are some that dwell on Earth and get involved with Earth's business, and there are some that stay in the Reef and don't trouble themselves with Earth, and are sort of distant, aloof, not quite allies, not quite enemies, but they work together when it is necessary, and sort of stand at a distance, keep each other at a distance otherwise. I know we've got a train coming. But yes, so we are getting pretty close to the end of sort of what I had planned to talk about. I guess to get back to the Guardians, I'm going to talk a little bit about Guardian organization. The Guardians are not super organized, but there is an organization that presides over the Guardians. This organization is known as the Vanguard, and the Vanguard represents the cause of the various Guardians, or represents each of the Guardian classes. Yes, the Vanguard. Let's see, if I remember correctly, the Vanguard symbol is roughly like this. Actually, I should double check that. Yes. Oh, nope. Yeah, completely wrong. I don't know what I was drawing. Yes, so the Vanguard symbol is more like this. I think I got it mixed up a little bit with the, in part with the Warlock symbol and in part with the Hunter symbol, because they also include a lot of triangles, or triangular shapes. But yeah, so the Vanguard is an organization that represents and organizes the Guardians. Because yeah, Guardians are generally fairly autonomous. You know, it's hard to rule over them, because what are you going to do? Execute them if they get out of line? You can kill Guardians permanently, it is possible. But obviously they don't want to do that, because the Guardians are sort of the first and more or less the last line of defense against the various aliens who are all sorts of nasty and rude in the solar system. But yes, so the Vanguard represents the various Guardian classes. But yes, and the Vanguard is led by three folks: Commander Zavala, the Titan Vanguard, Commander Zavala. I'd like to do a little drawing of each of the Vanguard commanders, but we don't know if we have enough time for that necessarily. Ikora Ray, who is the Warlock Vanguard. and Cade 6, who is the Hunter Vanguard. And Cade 6 also figures into the lore of Forsaken quite a bit, or not the lore of Forsaken, but the events of Forsaken. So if you know how Cade 6 is involved with Forsaken, I ask that you keep it under wraps for the minute. But yes, so Zavala is an Awoken Titan, Ikora is a human Warlock, and Cade is a Exo Hunter. Yes, so they all have their various roles, organizing the various classes of Hunter, who are, to varying degrees, who are, yeah, organized more or less, depending on what class they are. Titans are naturally quite disciplined generally. They give orders well and they respond to orders well. The Warlocks tend to group up and form sort of little cliques. And the Hunters tend to be sort of lone wolves. They like to play by their own rules and take risks and do all that stuff on their own. They don't like to be told what to do. And yeah, Cade doesn't really enjoy being the Hunter Vanguard. Very few people enjoy being the Hunter Vanguard of the Hunters who have served as the Hunter Vanguard throughout history, because Hunters don't like to be tied down to a role like organizing other Hunters, especially. But yes, so they are all very important figures. We'll probably talk about them more next time, because we're running out of time tonight. But yeah, so these are the Vanguard. T W H. This is a little give you a pictorial reference. Well, not a pictorial, but to connect them to visually to what class they are. But let's see. So the Hunter Vanguard, or the Vanguard in general, not the Hunter Vanguard specifically. Again, the Hunter Vanguard, Cade 6 is going to be relevant, but yes, the Vanguard in general leads the Guardians, organizes them, sort of decides what missions to send them on, and gets them sent out on those. Let's see, what else do we need to go over? Oh yeah, one other thing. I was going to talk about some more of the battles that took place. Whoops, which I haven't named my layers, which is unfortunate. But yes. So for the time being, there is another group of aliens that is relevant that we should discuss. I was going to say, well, yeah, there's another group of aliens that we should discuss. These being the Hive. Yes, the Hive, and I'll pull up a picture here so I can draw it. If I've already drawn the other folks, but I'd feel bad if I left the Hive out. But yeah, the Hive are very, very complex. They're an odd sort of they're a bit odd in a lot of ways, but there are a sort of a hive mind to a certain extent. Not a hive mind in the traditional sense of them all sort of being of one mind, really. But they have a sort of unified goal. They are something. And we'll draw a Hive Knight here. Yeah, they're hive-like, I guess, more so in the fact that they sort of structure themselves not unlike eusocial insects. Like they have specific members that have specific roles and sort of have to be raised and shaped into those roles. And they've also got 3 green glowing eyes. Very spooky. But yeah, so they're sort of like a space bug zombie necromancers who also are part of a big old cult that venerates the darkness. And they are among the rude, nasty aliens. They show up a little bit later into the party, which surprised me when I was looking into Destiny lore. I only really started to research it a little bit more deeply than sort of just what was, you know, immediately in front of me in the game earlier this week. But yeah, I was actually surprised to learn that the Hive actually didn't show up in the solar system until like quite a bit after the collapse. They weren't sort of any of the initial forces. They didn't show up really. They didn't show up in a way that was noticeable to humanity, to the people of Earth, until about the time that the city had started had already been founded and all that. And humanity fought a battle against them called the Battle of Burning Lake, which went reasonably well, but they decided to push the advantage and that onto the moon, I believe, where the Hive were at that point, and that really didn't go well for them. The battle that followed the Battle of Burning Lake was known as the Great Disaster, which should give you an idea of just how successful it was. But yes, so these are the Hive. So yes, so we're just about out of time here. I could go a little bit longer, but I don't want to push things too much because I do have to get ready for work here in a little bit. So we will summarize real quick. So once again, Earth takes place around Earth. I drew that on the same layer. Oh dear. Well, it's fine. This is going to be a bit confusing, but Earth takes place around Earth. Earth encountered the Traveler, who shared with them their great wisdom and helped advance Earth civilization greatly, causing a golden age. The golden age was followed by the appearance of the Darkness, who came to fight the Traveler, and the Traveler fought back, falling silent and dormant and seemingly dead to the world, but not before sending out the Ghosts, who raised up the Risen, who would become known as Warlords and Iron Lords and Light Bearers, and eventually as Guardians, forming the 3 Guardian classes. Wrong layer again. Forming the 3 Guardian classes, who would be organized under the Vanguard and the 3 Vanguard commanders. So yes, so humanity is threatened. They dwell in the last city, but they are threatened on all sides by the Vex, these timeless, unknowable, incredibly ancient, incredibly advanced machines. The Fallen, these scavengers in huge numbers who descend upon who have descended upon Earth and the solar system to make its bounty theirs. The Cabal, who stepped in, sort of sending scouting legions to make ready for, investigate the region for the sake of their interstellar empire. The Hive, who showed up. They worship the darkness. They have their all sorts of nasty business that they get up to as well. Just all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Let's see. I should make a note of what I've already covered here, so that I don't repeat the same ground once we get started with next time. We actually covered the vast majority of what I wanted to talk about. A lot of things not in as much detail as I was hoping for, but we actually did, we covered more than I was expecting, and that's nice. Yes. Whoops. Yeah, so we'll wrap up here in just a second. I can get this to work. on. Alright, pardon me. No, actually no. Never mind, never mind. I was gonna do something, but yeah, I won't worry about that. I don't have time to set it up. So we will get back to we'll wrap up. I think I was in the middle of wrapping up, but then I got distracted. Now I don't remember what I was doing. Yes. So, in short, if you know nothing else, humanity is in danger. They were devastated in the collapse after a golden age brought about by the Traveler. Now, Guardians have arisen, wielding the light, the power of the Traveler, to fight back against these forces, and all of their strange technology and powers and their agendas and whatnot to protect Earth and its people and all of that. And yeah, like I said, next Friday we'll get into more. We will talk more, particularly about the events of Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. We'll wrap up some of the stuff that I wasn't able to cover here. And let's see, I think that should be. What else do we need to say? Nothing else that we can't cover later. I was wanting to move back to the room with still with this filter on, but I don't think it's going to work because I did something that messed it up. It seems like, or I had the room set up for the use of this filter before, but it's not set up for it now for whatever reason. So you're going to just not worry about that. And we'll wrap things up. Probably could have organized things a lot better without the fire. Yeah, probably could have organized things a lot better. Presented things a little bit more smoothly and cleanly. But this went pretty well for what it was, I think. And I enjoyed it. I'd like to do more videos. Not necessarily talking about Destiny lore, but just sort of more videos in this style, this presentational style. Because it's really, really quite nice. I enjoy doing our little doodles and all that as well. But yes, so it is time to wrap up. So, once again, next Tuesday, 5:30 Central-ish PM, I should specify. We will be continuing our collabs with our one collab with Altariana, Sheppy Sheps, and Judo Kami. We will be playing Borderlands 2, as well as probably another game. We will do that on Tuesday, 5:30-ish Central PM. On Thursday, we will be continuing Conquer the Shadow World. We will be attempting to beat it, attempting to beat the final boss attempting to beat it on normal mode so that we can face the final boss. Let's see. And then that will be at 7:30 PM Central Time. And then on Friday, 10 AM Central Time, we will resume Destiny lore. We will cover topics that I wasn't able to cover this time, and then we will cover the events of the games themselves. Again, not in too much detail. We're going to still be pretty casual with everything. Sip. Once again, I should make sure that my throat is clear before I sip. Because if there's water in my throat while I try to talk, then it's just not going to be good. So, that is that. Again, Thanksgiving's coming up. I'm not 100% sure of what my plans are going to be. Because, yes, I live in the United States, and so, yes, Thanksgiving is a thing very much for me. Yes, I don't anticipate that I will... I mean, for one thing, I've got, time off work. So I should have more time, in theory, to stream. But also I'll have, folks that I will be seeing due to the holiday. So I might have less due to that. I might have none. So we'll see. We'll see what it'll be. And, yeah. Let's see. So, I guess that is the bulk of the business for right now. Or that is that is what it is for right now. So, thank you for being here. We're going to set up for a raid. As always, if anyone has any suggestions, I would be glad to hear them. Always like to see folks that maybe I haven't seen before. But yes, if you have any suggestions as a raid target, just feel free to drop them here. In the meantime, I will give you a little bit. I will, yeah. I've got, you know, targets that I can, I can find a target if I need to. But yes, let's see. I think that should be basically everything. Yeah, I think we're good. So yeah, I'll give you a little bit longer. I'll take a sip. Sip. And I will sip safely so that I don't choke. Yeah, it looks like yeah, it looks like I will pick out a target if no one else has the one. So I think what we're going to do is we will go and we will drop by and visit Canty, a VTuber, another VTuber, robot VTuber. Haven't had a chance to see a whole lot of their content, but yeah, known of them for a little while, and we'll have a chance to drop by and see what's up. They're playing Death Road to Canada, looks like. All right, Canty, spelled C4N7I. All right, so raid messages as always. We have arrived. Thank you, as always, for being here. I hope you have had a fine morning. I hope that you'll continue to have a fine day. And I hope that you'll be well until next time I see you. And so yes, I think I've covered everything that we need to be aware of for the schedule going forward. So we will just go and be on our way. Once again, thank you all. Hope you are all well. And let us get this raid underway.